Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Hospitality Room presented by Mascot Media. Bobby Swofford, Blair Cartwright with you here on Tuesday after a big weekend of football. How are you, Mr. Swofford?
I'm good. I feel like I'm a little rested from the trip to the land of enchantments, even though that week really took it out of me. But we're right in the middle of football season. Who knew that conference play would already be upon us coming up next week
Oh, my
for the high school
gosh.
stuff? And obviously, we got some big matchups in college football coming up this week, and NFL's in full swing. I mean, it's time to hit the ground and hit it hard.
Yes, it is. And with that in mind, we will go straight to our football recap. Da-da-da! There was supposed to be music there. I'm not sure what happened. We'll get on that next time. Oh, I think I know what happened. I think I inadvertently muted my music. Well, anyway, we'll get back to our recap. Oh, before we get this, I should throw the pick totals.
Yeah,
Both
what a
went
good.
10 and 13, but look, you're still at 53% for the year. That's
Yeah,
good.
I feel like the NFL really jumped up and bit me last week.
Well, I think it bit all of us
Yeah.
last week. As we go through now our recaps, we'll start first with the Razorbacks 24-point favorites.
Mm.
As mentioned yesterday numerous times, the Touchdown Club, they did win. They beat UAB by 10, but man, a little disconcerting to what was it? Eighth largest crowd, I think, in Razorback Stadium history. I mean, they pimped
Yeah.
that up. Team came out flat. Now you go into conference play. Who knows what to
Yeah.
expect?
Yeah, I mean, that was a very lackluster performance as I'm sitting in the emergency vet waiting room watching on my phone,
Oh,
worrying about my dog more so than I am
oh,
the
okay.
team. But like the dog was doing a whole lot better than the Razorbacks were in the first half, though. I'll promise you that. Just no sense of urgency, no fundamentals on defense. The quarterback Taylon Green was awful in the first half. I mean, I don't know. I don't. I've ever seen a quarterback go 3 or 14 passing that wasn't like a two-way high school football game. I mean, just atrocious from what they were. And of course, they finally figured out, hey, we can just run the football and run it down UAB's throat. The defense finally started to make some plays, but I mean, you probably expected a little bit of a letdown, but nothing to that level. And that if UAB was any bit better, Arkansas would have lost that game.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you can come out hot and then maybe take the foot off the gas,
Hmm.
okay, and let them back in the game. But to come out and get down
Yeah.
14, I don't know. And this is not the first time this has happened, so that's concerning.
It
But
is, and there's not one unit you can put the blame on. This is not a Sam Pittman problem. This is not an offense or a defense problem. This was a team problem on Saturday. And with Hugh Freeze next on the schedule, and we'll talk about him later this week. I mean, this is not a time to be limping into SEC play because you got a coach who owns you in every form or fashion coming up next.
yes, and yeah, it's just not good. But it could be worse. You could be Florida
Oh
State.
gosh,
Man, I mean,
yeah,
have the wheels come off in Tallahassee
they have.
or what? And I'm sorry. I'm sure DJ Ungale is a great kid, but he is not a good quarterback.
No, and it's killing Mike Norvell's offense because they need a quarterback who can push the ball down the field, someone who can move the chains and get the offense clicking. Because I played with Norvell in college. I know how that
Mm-hmm.
offense is supposed to work. I'm sure there's been a lot of tweaks since then, but it's not operating anywhere near what it should be. And for them to lose that game is just unexcusable. And sitting at 0-3, never would have thought that after going 13-0 last year to start, that Norvell would be on the hot seat. But if they don't turn it around and turn it around in a hurry, uh, Mike could be in trouble there at Florida State and Tallahassee.
And it's going to cost 28, 20. I mean,
Hmm.
many million, but yeah, the guy's got to eat the dog poop.
Yeah,
You know,
they
plain and
missed.
simple.
Yeah, they just missed on the quarterback, and that's what matters in college football today.
That's the thing. We mentioned the last two losses we just talked about, Arkansas and Florida State, looking to get a starting quarterback out of the portal.
Hmm.
There's a danger in that because there's a reason those guys are in the portal, right?
Correct. Yeah, otherwise, their previous school would have ponied up the money to keep them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah,
Hmm.
it's very, very odd. Well, the good news in the state of Arkansas, I guess, Arkansas State covers against the defending national champions in
Yeah,
the big house. So,
yeah.
hooray.
I think this tells you two things. One, maybe Arkansas State's not too bad. They're 2-1, win over at Tulsa. Granted, they lost to UCA, but they were credited with the win. But
Yeah.
Michigan nowhere near what they were last year. I mean, I
No.
think that's really what this tells us. The
Harbaugh.
10-point margin of victory is one thing, but to only score 28 points with what you're supposed to have some big time weapons, that's a problem. Michigan's they're going to get to a bowl game. They're going to win some games, but they're nowhere near the same level that they were last year.
No. And they're I've already announced they're changing quarterbacks. So
Yeah,
which that result and then the first one we mentioned, man, Arkansas. I mean, it's shaping up. I hate to say it, but the Arkansas State game is could actually be competitive, and
hmm
that should not happen.
yeah,
But we'll see. LSU, South Carolina, South Carolina. Can we
gave it
just
away.
take the can we just take the shotgun and shoot our feet off? I mean,
Yeah.
good lord.
Yeah, just gave the game away. That's really all there is to it. I mean, South Carolina was in complete control of it, and they just, bad, untimely mistakes and turnovers and penalties, and just didn't do enough to get to secure the win. And Beamer's in trouble because those are games in which you have control that you can't lose. And obviously, the way they played in the fourth quarter, they deserved to lose. I'm glad I got the pick right, but I mean, it's a game that Carolina should have won easily.
You had Brian Kelly pounded on the table. It was there for you,
Yeah.
and you miss. And Rocket Sanders looks like he's lost about 30 pounds
Mhm.
and was giving effort that we didn't see last year. So
He's got the burst back.
we'll see if that plays out though.
hmm
Wisconsin overmatched Alabama. No surprise.
The demise of the Crimson Tide was greatly exaggerated, right?
Who
That
makes
game was over at halftime.
Luke Fickle? What is going on in Madison? That's
Yeah,
not working. This was close. Boston College, Missouri. Missouri did win, but it was I don't know. But you're going to have games like that.
yeah.
Um, they
I
found
mean,
a way though.
Boston College jumped out to an early lead, and they had chances. I mean, Missouri faced a second and 59 at one point in that game. Just unsportsmanlike conduct after penalty. But BC actually looked a lot better than I was expecting. I thought they were just kind of a token team in the top 25. They were giving them credit for beating Florida State, but they kind of looked the part. They weren't a bad football team, and I think we may be looking in 2 months down the road and say, hey, that Boston College victory is a quality win for Missouri.
You know, the scary thing is Missouri. Typically, this is the kind of game where teams on the rise fall. They
hmm
get behind, they cack. Missouri didn't, so
Yeah.
that scares me. And our final college game, as if we didn't know it was the beginning of the end of the Billy Napier era. I am stunned as we tape this that actually he's still employed.
Yeah. So, do they have UCF this week? Is that right, or is it next week?
Uh, I'm
No,
not sure.
I'll
I don't
Google
think
it.
he survives that.
No, I agree. I think when they lose to UCF, and that's going to happen, I think
Yeah,
that's when they fire him.
man, unbelievable. And how is A&M ranked as a result of this?
Wow. Yeah.
I
So
mean,
they're at Mississippi State, which is going to save his job for at least another. Good God, how terrible are they? And
ooh,
then you've got UCF at the Swamp, and Gus is going to come in there and run for 700 yards, and then
yes,
Napier's going to get fired.
yeah, wow. And if they lose in Starkville, he might as well get a job bussing tables at the Little Dewey because he's not going back. All right, to the NFL. Dolphins, Bills. Tua gets hurt. Dolphins go in the toilet. Bills
Mhm.
look good. We didn't see that coming though.
No, we didn't. And the problem with with what the Dolphins did is they looked bad before Tua got hurt.
Yeah.
Maybe I've completely missed the boat on Buffalo. I thought they were going to be a double-digit loss team this year, and maybe they still are. But they came out and just whipped Miami on Thursday night.
They look really, really good. It's
hmm
ridiculous. The Raiders beat the Ravens. What is going on?
Yeah, I think this is more of an indicator of what's wrong with Baltimore. You've got a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and they had 10 yards of offense after that point. Before the last play. I think Lamar got like a 30 yards on the last play scramble. Uh, the Raiders better than probably what we expected them to, but Baltimore just doesn't have it. They don't have that. put the foot down mentality of like, hey, let's end this. I think Baltimore's going to be a playoff team. They're too talented not to, but they're slowly coming back to everybody else, and they're falling farther and farther away from that Chiefs level.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to say the least.
So,
Not even worth
so,
mentioning. This was a
yeah,
stunner, and you nailed it.
I did.
Swofford was
Well,
all over it.
the
Saints.
spread, yeah, the spread was too high, and on the one we just skipped, the fact that Carolina's already benched Bryce Young is
Whew.
shocking. I mean, so like they've just pulled the plug on the experiment after 20 games of him as a starting quarterback. But New Orleans, holy cow, the NFC South is starting to flex a little muscle. And yeah, I know the Falcons beating the Eagles last night. That not that big of a deal. But for the Saints to win this game on the road, for Tampa Bay to go on the road and beat Detroit, the NFC South, which I thought might be one of the worst divisions in football, is starting to look like a pretty interesting race.
Yeah, if you're a Cowboys fan, you just stay in hiding. Buck, you mentioned the Buccaneers winning at the
Mm-hmm.
Lions. Man, I mean, Baker Mayfield is playing good football.
Yeah, Tampa. I mean, Tampa made the right decisions in the offseason, re-signing Baker, re-signing Mike Evans, keeping that offense together. They're going to be fun to watch all year.
Yes. Colts, well, we
Oh,
both took gas on that.
Anthony
Mal-
Richardson's done too already. Already done. He's
yeah.
a bum.
Malik Willis
Yeah.
gets it done for the Packers.
Mm.
Insane.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
how many rushing yards did the Packers end up with? I think they had like the most rushing yards in the first half in like 30 years.
Yeah, it
It's
was,
wild to see an NFL team run the ball 50 times.
yeah, crazy. Okay, the Trevor Lawrence experiment
Oh,
not continuing to go poorly, and you just gave him huge money.
yeah.
You renamed this. You fixed what Everbank, and you call it
Hmm.
Trevor Bank State.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
good.
the Browns defense is good, but when you only give up 18 points, you got to win those games.
Whew. Yeah, not good at all. This was another stunner. The Vikings, Sam Darnold beating the
Yeah.
49ers.
Justin Jefferson, he's an impact player, but for San Francisco, they're almost falling apart before it gets going because McCaffrey's already hurt. He's on IR, so he's going to miss at least the first 5 games because they didn't put him on IR until right before this one. Debo is hurt now,
Hmm.
so we're starting to see what San Francisco does every year. And so you hope if you're a 49ers fan that the injuries are getting out of the way early and those guys are going to be healthy late. Otherwise, it could be a long year in San Fran.
Yes, it could. Tough. I thought your Patriots had it. We both were rolling with them, and
Yeah, we got to push at
uh,
least.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's
Oh, that's
situational
true.
football. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you look at what happened with New England. They've got a 20-17 lead, and they don't play situational football. They don't make Seattle burn the timeout. So you allow them to go down and kick the field goal, force overtime, and then you go 3 and out in overtime to start the game, to start the period. And the pass protection is going to be a problem for New England. Honestly, they're playing significantly better than I thought they were going to start the year through 2 games. But there's still a lot of holes. There's a lot of warts on that pig for sure.
Yes. Speaking of warts, the Titans and Will Levis. When your coach yells at you like he did, and it's all
Yeah,
over Twitter, and the Jets are not good either. I mean, this was
yeah,
just
yeah. I mean, Aaron Rodgers looks like a shell of who he was 3 or 4 years ago. They've got a short week. It's Jets Patriots coming up on Thursday night. Neither one of these teams are a playoff team. The Titans with the weapons that they have at receiver should be a whole lot better, and Levis is just not it at quarterback.
yeah. They don't have a quarterback. Plain and simple. Giants and Commanders. Well, it was entertaining. It was not good
Oh,
to quality football, but it was a entertaining game. The
hmm.
Giants. I mean, how do you know your kicker is hurt and not have a backup plan, knowing in this league 3 points
It was a big deal.
can be the
Yeah.
margin of victory?
Yeah, I mean, Washington wins this game without scoring a touchdown. That's what's wild. 7 field goals. I mean, so on the bright side, if you're a Washington fan, you put together 7 scoring drives. On the downside is you got to be able to cap that off. But the Giants they're just counting down the days. I don't know if the Giants and Panthers play each other this year, but if they are, find something else to do
Oh,
because
gosh.
you don't want to waste those 3 hours.
Never has a team scored 3 touchdowns and lost to a team that didn't score a touchdown.
It's wild.
That's how bad the Giants are.
Oh my
So
gosh.
It's just stunning. The Cardinals,
Mm.
holy cow.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. Whoa, that first quarter. Hello,
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, I heard it on the radio this morning, so I can't take credit for it. Dan Orlovsky was talking about how that was the best game Kyler Murray has ever played
Mm-hmm.
in the NFL, and he's not young anymore. I mean, so he's a veteran.
No.
I had this game on. Obviously, there's only 3 games in the afternoon window on Sunday, and they could do anything they wanted to offensively. I mean, you knew that with Harrison would eventually kind of come into his own. Didn't know he was going to have that big of a first quarter.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really, really impressive to see what Arizona did. And the Rams they're a bad team. Obviously they've got a lot of weapons hurt offensively. Cooper Cup got banged up in that game. Nakua's out for a while. They're really, really going to struggle. Arizona is not going to be an easy out. I mean, they almost beat
No.
Buffalo in Week 1. To me, Arizona may be the Patriots version in the NFC. Like you don't expect them to do a whole lot, but they're not an easy win.
Yeah. No. They're going to be, if they can stay healthy, knock on wood, they're going to be a
Mm-hmm.
very entertaining team to watch. Chiefs never make it easy.
Mm-hmm.
Never make it easy. We've lost Pacheco now for 4 to 6 weeks, which is,
Yeah.
I'd rather, like you mentioned earlier, you'd rather lose him now. We're talking about the 49ers, lose him now.
Right.
It's a long season and get healthy and be healthy at the end than be healthy now and get hurt late, which I think we're seeing more as, the schedule increases. If they go to 18, I mean, injuries are going to become bigger than ever. But man, even a shorthanded Bengals team gave Kansas City all they wanted and then some.
Yeah, I mean, this was a game that was Kansas City's wins, but they just okay. We don't want to play them again. And you never want to play Joe Burrow. And I don't know what it is about Cincinnati in the first 2 games of the season. They're terrible. They're 1-9 in the last 5 years in the first 2 games of the year. Um, but they're right there. I mean, I know that they still lost the game, and I just mentioned that Baltimore is fading behind. Cincinnati's got to get healthy. They got to get Higgins back on the field. They got to get Chase and Burrow back on the same page. But I mean, you expect to see this game again in January, to be quite
Oh, yeah.
honest. And of course, the Chiefs got another break to go their way. It was pass interference. I'll
Yeah.
say that. So it extended the game. It's just those little plays that prevent you from taking over as the top dog. And Cincinnati made a mistake right in the end, got there just a tick too early. You give a team like Kansas City an extra chance, it's going to cost you every time.
Yeah. The Bengals defense has got Mahomes figured out. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see
They
what
do.
happens there. Steelers, Broncos, it was ugly. Steelers win. The Broncos are terrible. No
Yeah.
surprise there. Bears, Texans was entertaining. Caleb Williams shows signs. The Texans kind of played with their food in this one, didn't you think?
Yeah, and Chicago missing obviously Allen and Odunze hurts for Chicago. The Texans again, I think probably were a little overconfident because of those 2 players. It's a close game. You never know with Sunday night football, first home game for Houston. I thought obviously the hook got us there. We almost got that cover, but uh, I don't know. I mean, I still think Chicago is probably feeling pretty good about themselves after 2 weeks, even though they dropped this one.
Yeah. Caleb played better. He didn't play great,
Mm,
but I mean, let's face it. Name the last rookie quarterback to win the Super Bowl. Don't know that it's happened. So
yeah,
there's a reason. And then last night, wow, what a way to end the week. The
yeah,
Falcons. I mean, the Eagles, I thought had it in control. I was about to walk out of the room and then turn around. The
yeah.
Falcons score and win.
Yeah, so Kirk Cousins, hello, welcome back to the party. Even though he claims he's not 100%, but I also heard this stat on the radio today. Philadelphia, going back to the start of last year, dead last in plus minus in points in the last 2 minutes of the half. So
Ooh.
learning to win games, learning to finish games, and that's why they overhauled their coaching staff this year. You bring in Fangio to help your defense, still give up, and the Falcons carved them up on that last drive. It's not like they inched their way down the field. They went 85 yards and just carved them up. It was really impressive drive for the Falcons, but kind of damning on the Eagles defense.
Well, that's why you gave Cousins the big money. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why you also considered firing Sirianni because the coaching matters down the stretch, and it
You're right.
it was bad. It was real bad. Hey, follow us on Instagram or not Instagram, Twitter. I can't talk. Send us an email. I mean, it's what a week. Football season is here. It couldn't be better, right?
That's right, and we're back to double dipping. We'll be back later this week for some picks.
All right. Final word.
Watch us next week.